Okay, bada bing, bada boom, we are ready. Okay, guys. All right. This is the official kickoff to the June 2020 Huddle. Let me know if this is your first Huddle. Did you know, a little fun fact for you, if you're watching this live or watching the replay, mark your calendars, talk with your coach, talk with your office leadership. Why? Because this happens, the Huddle happens the first Wednesday of every single month right here in the Locker Room Nation Facebook group. So make sure your schedule reflects your goals and priorities, and I trust that this will be valuable enough that you'll see this becomes a priority as something that you need a time block for in the future. Aha, see what I did there? All right, so without further ado, let's get started. And for those of you that don't know me, my name is Jake. I am the founder of The Locker Room. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you to each and every one of you that the Locker Room Nation gets to serve. We represent, we're proud of you. And I know all of us were just thrown for a complete whirlwind in 2020. Can I get an amen? Okay, yes, good. I trust that you're saying amen on your side. Type it in the comments if you can. But all kidding aside, guys, I'm not here to address the craziness going on in our world today. I'm here to be part of the solution. You know, we're going to keep this focused on business. But please, in anything I say today, you know, don't mishear it. Don't need to be sensitive to it. We're going to focus on business. I know there's a lot more to life than just business. And yet in the context as coaches, our job is to keep you moving forward, putting one foot in front of the other. I understand life happens. It's chaotic out there. So just bear with me for the next 30 minutes as we focus on you and your business. Fair enough? Very good. All right. So to kick this off, we call this halftime. It's halftime. We say we're going to meet you in the locker room. Right here, we are in the locker room. If you've played sports or you have children who are in sports, you know what that locker room stands for. And I'm going to explain that here in a minute. But before I do, I recently heard a John Maxwell quote that spoke to me, all right? And it said that any good coach, any coach in general, and I'm going to add players in the equation as well, can enter a game with a pre-game plan. What does that mean? Well, they watch game film on their opponents. They study their own game film. Maybe they've, drawn up the plays and the strategies, the X's and O's of what they intend to do going into the game. Well, guess what? Our game is called 2020. Now here, John Maxwell continues on with his brilliance, and he says, but the great coaches, the great players, that's you, that's me, us together, the great ones, they know at halftime that's largely where the game is won. The great coaches are able to make adjustments, able to pivot, be an athlete, and be agile at halftime to course correct that maybe the game plan going into it is no longer the same game plan to finish the game, finish the season strong. Are you with me? So I'm using this as an analogy to parallel 2020 is and was our game. Now, you went into 2020, I hope, with a game plan. You had a business plan, you had a lead generation model, and you had all of these things that you intended to do. Did it go perfectly according to plan? Probably not. We got hit with a virus. We got hit with these killer hornets. We got hit with, the chaos that's happening in the streets these days. There's a lot of things that can throw us off of our game. So here at halftime, knowing that you and I and together we are great, we're going to take a pause and create a game plan moving forward. And in order to do so, I'm going to get you out of a state of emotion that you might find yourself in, and we're going to spend the next 20 to 30 minutes getting you into a state of logic. Is that fair? Do I have your permission? Do I have your buy-in to do that? All right. So back in 2016, and this is going somewhere, so please bear with me. You're going to want to take notes today. Back in 2016, it was August of 2016 to be exact. It was because we called it the locker room because it was symbolic in nature. The locker room represents the sacred place where teams come together. They share blood, sweat, and tears with one another. It's where bonds are formed. It's a place where the X's and O's, like I said, are put up on the board to strategize on how we are going to win. That's the meaning behind the Locker Room Real Estate Coaching organization's name. And it's also for that reason that the Locker Room here today stands for coming together as one tribe, one community, one team, who all work towards a common purpose. Now, I understand you all have different goals. I get that. But in the end, I'd like to think that most of us are probably pursuing the same thing, which is to fund a life by design instead of living a life by default, right? So today, what this is about is accepting our current reality. We must look in the mirror and assess, where am I? And we got to reflect to see if you even know where you're going. Do you have a plan? Are you on track with that plan? Have you drifted off course? Whatever it is, here's the first homework assignment. I want you to write this down. Some of you have heard me say this before. Write this down right now or type it, whatever your deal is. I want you to ask yourself today, not right now, but today, these 4 simple questions. Number 1, it's KISS, by the way, K-I-S-S. Number 1 is, what do you need to keep doing? That's the K in the KISS acronym. What is it right now that you need to keep doing? Now, it's a simple question and yet a profound one. It forces you to think. What are you doing and it's working? Don't let up. We just need to keep doing it, apply time on task over time, and in fact, you might even need to double down with it. What is it you need to keep doing? My second question, which represents the I in KISS, is, what do you need to become more intentional about? What do you need to become more intentional about? Maybe it's a skill set. Maybe you're like, yeah, I'm doing it, but I know I could be doing it better. I'm doing it to the best of my ability, but maybe I'm not doing it to the best that it could be done, and raising the standard, right? So perhaps it's a skill set. Perhaps it's something that you need to increase your knowledge around. Guys, maybe it's even associations. Who are you choosing to surround yourself with? Are you being intentional with that? You choose, but ask yourself that question. The first S represents, what do you need to stop doing? I want you to answer that question today. What is it you need to stop doing? In other words, if you stop doing it right now, nobody would care, nobody might even notice. But in your mind, because you feel busy or whatever the case is, it's just not working. It's not worth the time. Cut your losses, quit hallucinating, cut it out, and then use that extra time to double down on what is working, okay? And the final S, write this down, is, what is it that you need to start doing? What is it you need to start doing? Don't give me this stuff that you don't know what to do. Guys, it's halftime. We're going to have real talk. We're in the locker room right now. You're an adult. Don't claim that you don't know what to do. You know exactly what to do. It's called relationship generating, okay? You want to talk about lead generating, whatever. Okay, that's fair. But really, at the end of the day, what we're doing is generating new relationships and deepening our existing ones. You know exactly what to do. We just have a tendency to overcomplicate things, and then we hide behind that complexity and say, see, I told you so. Now it's my turn to justify my inadequacies, justify my lack of results, right? You can't complain about the things you tolerate, and you cannot expect results for the work that you're not putting in. So that last question is, what do you need to start doing? Now, this can apply to your entire life: health, fitness, spiritual belief, finances, business. It doesn't matter. You get to choose. All right. That's homework assignment number 1. It doesn't have a whole lot to do with the rest of what I'm going to talk about today, but I wanted to get that across to you because every chance I get to encourage you to hit the pause button and just time out, you've got to get in the habit of asking yourself those 4 questions every week, every month, every quarter, okay? So let's move on. So it goes without being said, here we are at the 6-month mark, man. We're halfway through the year. Many of you probably are thinking right now, where in the heck did the time go? How is it June already, right? And many of you are also probably feeling the pressure, it's a feeling the pressure and stress around performance, so you can achieve those goals that you set out to achieve at the beginning of this year. So today, here's the deal. We're going to have each and every one of you assess where you're at with no fear, no judgment. We're just going to take a checkup from the neck up, an honest assessment, honest inventory, if you will. And by the end of today, asking yourself not only those 4 questions, but giving you an exercise that I'm going to be walking you through here in a moment. Do you like where you're at right now? If not, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to change? Are you with me? So here's the beautiful thing, guys. If right now you've caught yourself today, this week, anytime recently, saying things like, oh, I'm so behind on my goals. How will I ever make up for lost ground knowing that the year is halfway over? That's what today's about. I'm going to get into some serious good stuff right now, and I need you to listen, and I need you to take some notes and understand that when I share my screen, I've got a blank version of this exercise that we will send out today in email and post in the Facebook group when we're done, okay? Now check this out. Most mega agents, most businesses, and this is true for Locker Room when I was originally a skeptic until I checked it out for myself. They will tell you that 65%, how much? 65% of their results, of their production comes in 2 quarters. I need you to write that down. 65% of their production, your production, is likely going to come in the form of 2 quarters. For most people, for most marketplaces, let's just say in a typical year, that's Q2 and Q3. These are otherwise known as the busy selling seasons. Buyers and sellers, everything's hitting the market. And then Q1 and Q4, for most people, are the slower months, the winter months kind of thing, right? And that suggests that 35% of your production would come in those 2 quarters combined. Make sense? 65, 35. Let's go ahead moving forward and call that the 65-35 rule. I've applied it. I've applied it to countless other teams and people that I've coached at a high level. It's pretty darn accurate and true. So when you catch yourself recently saying things like, oh, I'm so behind goal, not so fast, bucko. You might be exactly where you're at because, see, it's not as simple as necessarily taking your yearly goal and chopping that up by 4 quarters or chopping that up by 12 months, depending on how you track it. It's not that easy. We are in a cyclical industry. There are ebbs and flows, and it's good for us to be realistic and go ahead and predict that and depend on that. So the 65-35 thing is very real. This should be good news for a lot of you with where I'm going to take this. We're not even in the 3rd quarter yet, guys. There's people, I don't have a crystal ball, and neither do you, but there are people suggesting that if we get over this sooner than later, the second half of the year could be just game on, gangbuster. Let's hope that's the case. Are you ready? Are you planting seeds right now for an amazing 3rd quarter and 4th quarter? I sure hope so. And after here today, when I get done with this, you better believe it, you will be. I'm going to get you jacked up, okay? So this serves as a compass. And now I'm going to share with you my screen. Hopefully this will work to give you a real life example that I created. And this is what you will do for your individual business when we're done here today, okay? So let me get this queued up on screen. And here we go. Hopefully everybody can see my screen. I have no way of validating whether you can or not, so I'm just gonna roll with it. Okay, so it's halftime. This is going to be given to you in a blank form. Just follow along. Get your math elite goggles and hats on because I need you to understand some numbers without going cross-eyed on me. This is a hypothetical. Let's say I'm you. I'm an agent who said he or she wanted to earn $100,000 this year. Roughly speaking, let's pretend that's about $3.3 million of closed sales volume if we assume a 3% commission rate. Just trust me on my math. And then if your average sales price is around $225,000 in your market, that would be roughly 15 units sold. All right, these are just the assumptive variables that we have to consider today. Now I take my goal and I assess my reality. Where am I at today in accordance to the goal? In this just example, let's say I'm an agent and so far for the year, I've closed 4 homes at an average sales price of $225,000. Now, if I pause, it might be very easy for me to say, see, I told you, I might as well just scrap my goals altogether. There's no way I'm going to get to my goal of 15 when I've only had 4 and half the year's over. See the self-talk that we allow? Knock it off. So if that's just where I'm at, I don't have to like it, but I have to honestly assess it. That means I'm at $900,000 in volume, and I've done a total of $27,000 in gross commission up to this point. So simply put, I'm currently 27% of goal, where otherwise you might have friends and people in your world saying, oh, well, you're behind. You're supposed to be at 50% of your goal because duh, you're at the halfway mark of the year. Nope. 65-35 rule, right? Are you with me? But in that case, I would otherwise rate myself as currently underperforming. I'm behind. So let's keep diving further. Here's the breakdown. Year to date, let's pretend out of those 4 homes I've sold, one of them was in Q1, January, February, March combined, I sold 1 home. And then let's pretend April, May, June, I had 3 closings. Okay, second quarter. All right, we're assessing reality still. Now here comes that 65-35 thing. This is where you math majors need to follow me. So if my yearly goal was 14.67, and I believe in the 65-35 rule, this would otherwise suggest that 9.75 closings come between 2 of my best quarters. The other 5.25 closings happen in the other 2 quarters. In other words, the other 6 months. So again, before you go quick to judge where you're at, not so fast. If you apply this, you might be exactly where you're supposed to be. Don't panic. Now, don't get complacent on me either. So let's keep going, okay? If this is true, and I say Q1 and Q4 might be my slowest quarters, and I need to close 5.25 homes between those 2 quarters, well, okay, come what? October, November, December, I need to have 4 to 5 closings within those 3 months. Okay, that's not too bad. That's not too intimidating. I've still got time left on the clock. Cool, I can plan and prepare for that. And then if the 65% comes in the best 2 quarters, well, one of them's already done. Q2 is done. And in my example, I've closed 3. Well, up top there, you see I needed 9.75 total within my 6 best months. Well, take 3 off that, I've got 6.75 left to go. So between July, August, and September, if I got to work right now, it is not too late. I can make up ground and close 6 or 7 homes within those 3 months to be exactly where I need to be, as long as my 4th quarter shapes up with 4 sales. Are you guys seeing this? I hope so. I'm going to provide this example for you. So if anything gets foggy, you can reference what I'm showing you right now. But again, you will have your own blank worksheet that we're going to provide you to do this exercise for yourself. So this gets better. I really need you guys to get close to your computer screen right now with what I'm going to show you. Here's reality. As of today, ladies and gentlemen, June 3rd, 2020, did you know that there's 212 days left in the year? Did you know that? Wow. Well, better yet, I'm going to call it 144 working days left in this year. I'm talking Monday through Friday. I'm giving you 30 Saturdays off. I'm giving you 30 Sundays off. And by the way, there's 8 federal holidays between now and the end of the year. Did you know that? It's just awareness. Google it. You can fact check me if you'd like. So I know this is laughable, but I want you guys to see how stupid this also is when it comes to the math. This is just one big math equation, okay? So if you can agree with me and say, ha ha, Jake, yeah, right, like I'm gonna take 30 Saturdays and 30 Sundays off, hey, just humor me for a second. I know some of you are working around the clock, But if this is true, and we apply a typical 8-hour workday, look at this. You've got 1,152 working hours left from now to December 31st, before the year rolls over. Now bear with me on this. Here we go. What if, you guys, every single one of you, Locker Room Nation, I'm talking to you right now. What if over the next 144 working days, I'm giving you weekends and holidays off, all you did was do your 10 contacts a day? Sound familiar? 10 a day. Meaningful conversations with people that know you, like you, trust you, or you build new relationships as a result of it. 10 a day. That's 1,440 contacts between now and the end of the year. That's 1,000,000% within your control. 1,000,000%. Doesn't matter who's the president of the United States. It doesn't matter what the stock market's doing. It doesn't freaking matter. Stop making excuses. You can have 10 conversations a day. 144 days. Now, if you've been a good boy and a good girl, you've been tracking your numbers, okay? But if you haven't, you might not know this number. So let's use the assumptive example of 50 to 1. Let's pretend for every 50 meaningful conversations over time, it ends up resulting into a new piece of business. If you don't know your number, by the way, start tracking. We provide you the tools. Anyways, take those 1,440 conversations, divide it by those 50 to 1 ratio, mic drop moment. I don't care where you're at in the year. You've got 28.8 units. It's just math, okay? Waiting for you over the next 6 months if you just apply simplicity and time on task. Now, I teased you guys over the last few days. 28.8 multiplied by $6,750 as an average commission, because we're using 2 1/4 as the average sales price, that's 194 grand. Now, I don't know your average sales price in your market. It could be higher, it could be lower, and that's the point of why you're going to do this exercise for your own business. But guys, let's call it 194 grand. Would you be okay in the next 6 months? Let me say this differently. If you, by increasing the intentionality and having 10 conversations a day, would you be okay over the next 6 months if you either closed or had under contract $194,000 worth of income? I don't know too many people who wouldn't be okay with that. Stop wasting this opportunity. This is a real job. Stop telling yourself, well, I better go get a real job. This is. You're just choosing not to show up to the office, perhaps. Okay? You haven't applied time on task and let the compound effect, one of the wonders of the world, okay, the compound effect, to even develop and take root yet. You give up on something too quickly. You don't stick with it long enough, right? We live in this popcorn society where we got to have it now, or else we're jumping ship, moving on to the next thing. That's not real estate. This may not be for you if that's where you're at. So how much is your goal worth to you and your family? Are you willing to make $194,000, prove me wrong, over the next 6 months by talking to 10 people a day? Does your last job pay you that, to talk to 10 people a day? Does your current job, if maybe you're a transition or dual career agent, pay you that? I doubt it. It's just math, guys. It's simple if you make it simple. Right? What if everything that you allowed on your calendar was treated as if it was $1 million listing appointment? I guarantee you wouldn't cancel that. I guarantee going into that appointment, you would be prepared. You'd have all your collateral. You've had a plan going into it to give yourself the best opportunity for success. Well, right now, your equivalent of $1 million listing opportunity is those 10 contacts a day. Do you enter every day seeing those as a non-negotiable? Do you enter every day having the preparation and the mindset and the practice to go into that to give yourself the best possible chance at succeeding? We know real estate's a contact sport. You just got to get your jersey dirty every day. It's okay. Mama wash it. Mama wash the jersey. I learned that growing up, man. She's got bleach. She'll figure it out. Moms are magical. They can wash jerseys with cakes of mud on them. It's amazing. Let me stop sharing my screen so I can get you focused on me again. okay? So what I want you to do, if this is resonating with you, is I want you to consider and just submit to the fact that we need to focus on units. The rest of this year, it's on units, and in order to do that, it all boils down to the contacts, as I just showed you. It's game 7 of the World Series, guys. We're playing for outs, right? Just like it's, hey, we're 3 outs away from winning the championship. Ooh, 2 outs away, 1 outs away. You're playing for units right now. Just like game 7 of the World Series, they're playing for outs. Units fix everything, right? What's the one thing I can focus on such that everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? It's units. If you get the closed units, the volume, the GCI, all of that takes care of itself. And by the way, even if you fall short on the units, you might have gotten that $1 million closing or something that made up for the discrepancy, but we want to keep the eye on the prize, which is the units, okay? So what's so hard about this, locker room? Go ahead, put it in the chat window. If there's anything, any excuse, get it out there now. What is so hard about this? Nothing. You can't tell me having 10 conversations a day that are purposeful is hard. I can't accept that. Here's the reality. If it's important to you, you will find a way. If it's not, you will find an excuse, period, end of story. And we can say that because we care about you, right? If anything I say is just rubbing you wrong or say this guy's some jerk or what, like, I don't care what you think of me, but you can never question my integrity nor your coach and your leadership's integrity of where our heart lies. This is what needs to be said to maybe wake some of you up to not waste this opportunity that you have to help people. And by helping other people, you get to help yourself. Okay, here's the problem. It's just that what's easy to do is also easy not to do. We fall victim to the simplicity here. We find excuses or reasons to make this more complicated than it really is, like I said earlier. After all, it can't be that simple, could it? It actually is that simple, you guys. The goal here, I hope you hear what I'm saying. The goal here is not to have you work more. That's not what you didn't once hear me say that today, did you? The goal is actually to get you work less, because I need you to work with more focus, more commitment and dedication, which doesn't equate to more time. I'm just talking about focus over the next 144 working days of the year, over the next 1,152 hours. I'm just asking you to work with more focus, which actually will lead you to working less time. That's the catch-22 of the whole deal. Come on, man. Does your calendar reflect your goals? Are you clear about your values and your priorities? Do you know what to say yes to, and do you know what to say no to? Locker Room Nation, here's what I'm gonna leave you with, because we're approaching time. Success is simple, right? It's not necessarily easy. It's boring, it's repetitious, and as Gary says, you need to accept the boredom associated with mastery. I'm a baseball guy, so I use a lot of stories, you know, and those guys that you watch on TV making millions upon millions of dollars because they're the best at what they do, you don't see it on TV, but I know what they're doing before the game. They're down underneath the stadium in the batting cage tunnels, putting a baseball on a tee, taking hundreds of swings a day off of a freaking tee. You think these Major League Baseball players haven't accepted the boredom that's associated with mastery? It's right there. That's what they do. So guys, one half of the game is over. It's done. Can't get it back. Chaos, virus, all the stuff, we can't get it back. We can only look ahead. So you're back in the locker room right now. We're having a heart-to-heart chat, me and you, right? I want you to reflect. What's working? What's not working? You're here to establish a new game plan, or maybe it's not even a new game plan. It's just the original one that you didn't stick to. And now it's a new start. It's a fresh beginning. Get out there and dominate the second half and kick some tail. So here's the question. Are you ready to get your jersey dirty? Are you ready to work the next 144 days with more focus than ever before? So once and for all, you cut out all the excuses and you take a stance for your greatness for yourself and for your family. It's a choice. That's the beautiful part, and it's the dangerous part. It's a choice, believe it or not. I guarantee you, if you work the next 6 months, prove me wrong, with more focus than ever before, it'll change your entire life forever. I can almost promise you this. Most people, and I'm guilty of this, I've done it, most people just drag on success and they limp their way through excuses. That ain't us, Locker Room Nation. That is not us. That is not what we stand for, right? It is time to buckle down, and I want you to come back to me, every single one of you, in the next 6 months, January 1st, and you let me know if my math was right or wrong. You let me know if I'm just some crazy guy or if I wasn't too far off from the truth. The only way any one of you can do that on January 1st, say, Jake, you're a liar, is by committing starting today to doing the simple priority of 10 meaningful, purposeful conversations a day over the next 144 working days. And by the way, did I mention that you get your weekends off and holidays off in my example? Okay, I'm just checking. So 10 quality conversations. That's it. If you accept my challenge, this is a challenge, I want you to tag your coach in the comments below and say, I'm all in. Tag your coach right now. Tag your coach, your office leadership, whatever you need to do, and say, I'm all in. That is your public declaration. You being vulnerable and transparent that there's no turning back once you put it out there for the masses to see. I want you to say, I'm all in, and tag your coach or your office leadership right now. Leaving here today, we are going to make this replay available in the Locker Room University. By the way, if you don't have access to the Locker Room University, you better get with your coach or your leadership team and get that figured out. If you don't know what I'm talking about, let us know. We'll help you. There's so much resources, so much good stuff back there. You need to dive in because this and so many other video modules are waiting for you, okay? So step number one, we're going to send you the email with the attachment, my example, and the playback of this recording if you need to watch it over again. I will also post those 2 documents in the Facebook group following this video right now, okay? Ask yourself those questions, KISS, and then continue forward with your blank exercise and fill out the same thing I just showed you today in the form of that example, okay? So, Locker Room Nation, I went 4 minutes over. My name is Jake Dixon, founder of the Locker Room. My heart, I can't want it more for you than you want it for yourself. But I can assure you, my heart, your coach's heart, every person that represents the locker room, we're extremely selective. So even though we may say things that trigger you or piss you off for the day, I can promise you, you're what we think about 24/7. We collaborate, we create resources, we do everything in our power with you in mind, and now it's your time to meet us right there at the line. Okay? The way you can say thank you isn't necessarily thanks. It's by taking action today and implementing anything that spoke to you today, and let's get to work. Let's go kick some ass in the second half of this season. This is your game to win. There's $194,000 waiting for you just by talking to 10 people a day. So let's get it done. How can I help? How can our team help? You let us know. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. Dive in, commit to the process, accept the boredom associated with mastery, and I'll see y'all on the flip side. Let's go, Locker Room Nation.